So here's a story that looks like it's from The Onion. Afghanistan conflict. U.S. says troop withdrawal was too quick. What? We've been there 16 years. What do you mean? What do you mean it's too quick? Aren't we like tying some of the longest wars ever? There are ones that are longer, to be fair, but like 16 fucking years. Well, you drew down too quick. That's what happened. Everybody agrees. Wait, they make that argument. Okay, so this is from BBC. They say, Mr. Mattis was briefing NATO allies on future strategy amid reports the U.S. will boost its military presence. His comments were in direct contrast to NATO's Secretary General, who said the withdrawal should have happened sooner. U.S. troops reached 130,000 in 2011, but were drawn down, leaving the Afghan military in control at the end of 2014. There are now 13,500 NATO troops there. Mr. Mattis was speaking at a press conference after meeting NATO defense ministers in Brussels. He said, "Looking back on it, it's pretty much a consensus that we may have pulled our troops out too rapidly, reduced the numbers a little too rapidly. Diplomatic and U.S. sources have suggested the number of U.S. troops could increase by between 3,000 and 5,000 to try to counter a resurgent Taliban and the presence of an Afghan branch of so-called Islamic State." Mr. Mattis said, "I don't put timelines on war. War is a fundamentally unpredictable phenomenon. The bottom line is that NATO has made a commitment to Afghanistan for freedom from fear and terror, and freedom from terror demands that you can't let this be undone. The conflict in Afghanistan has dragged on for 16 years since the 9/11 attacks in the United States." Okay, where do I begin with this silliness? Look, they just said troop levels peaked in 2011. 130,000 troops were there in 2011. Guys, that's already 10 years into the war. 10 years into the war. Obama escalated Afghanistan. People rarely talk about that. When he first came into office, giant escalation of Afghanistan. 130,000 troops in 2011. And then they were drawn down, and they bottomed out to 13,500 in the year 2014. So, 13 years into the war, we limit the number of troops to still over 10,000. And Mattis goes, it's basically like, it's a general consensus. Everybody agrees. Everybody you talk to in your fucking military-industrial complex circles, everybody agrees we drew down too quickly. 13 years into the war. It's like the old saying, 13 years and you're just getting started. You know they have a nickname for Afghanistan, right? It's called the Graveyard of Empires. I wonder why that is. Could it be because they get sucked into endless wars that you can't win in Afghanistan? Look at what we're doing, man. Are we really having this conversation in the year 2017? 16 years into the war, and they're like, we have a new strategy. We're going to escalate troop levels? Well, so what? What are we supposed to believe? The 19th year is going to be a charm? The 26th year is going to be a charm? And then there's also some amazing admissions in there if you pay close attention to how everything is framed. Because it's very subtle, but he's dropping little hints like this. I don't put timelines on war. So what does that mean? What are you saying? I don't put timelines on war. The bottom line is NATO has made a commitment to Afghanistan for freedom from fear and terror. Freedom from terror demands that you can't let this be undone. So hold on. The Taliban controls 40% of Afghanistan. Right now. You can't defeat them. That's not an option. It's a guerrilla army. There's no... okay, we just got rid of the ones that exist now. There's going to be more that pop up. You can't win a war on terror. Terror is a tactic. So you have the Taliban in some parts. In eastern Afghanistan in some parts you have ISIS now. It doesn't matter if we pull out now, if we pull out in 10 years, If we pull out in 100 years, as soon as we draw out, you're going to have the Taliban resurgent and taking over some territory. So what does that mean? So what are we going to do? In the mind of Mattis, he said, I don't put timelines on war. You know what that means? Permanent military occupation. The war in Iraq cost $7 trillion. The war in Afghanistan, at least $2 trillion. So we just waste all of our money there. Taxpayer money, hard-earned taxpayer money. As our infrastructure gets a grade of D+ here in this country. Flint doesn't have clean water. Half the country makes $30,000 a year or less. Yeah, go ahead. Just waste trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in a war where there is no winning. Define winning for me. Ask anybody who still supports the war in Afghanistan, if you can find any, because they don't exist outside of Washington. Hey, what is winning? Define winning for me. When do you get to plant the flag and go, we did it? They won't have an answer for you. They won't have an answer. Why are we there? Notice they always move the goalpost. We gotta go to Osama bin Laden. We gotta get. That's why we're going in. 01. We gotta go Osama bin Laden. We just were attacked. Gotta get Osama bin Laden. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. But Al Qaeda, we gotta get Al Qaeda. There's less than 100 Al Qaeda operatives in Afghanistan. Mission accomplished. No, we gotta say to get Al Qaeda. Oh, we got Al Qaeda. Okay, now we're the Taliban. We gotta get the Taliban. That's what we got. We get the Taliban. Well, that's 40% of the fucking country they control. You're never gonna defeat them. So it's an excuse to stay there. That's what it is, man. If you think our foreign policy is driven by wanting to give people freedom and democracy, just think about this for a second. The people who are our allies in Afghanistan have child sex slaves. That sounds like some Alex Jones type shit. No. This was widely reported. There was a U.S. soldier who blew the whistle on this and said, what do we do? We're teaming up with these warlords who have child sex slaves. He was discharged from the military for questioning our strategy. They said, no, you don't question them. Hey, it's a necessary alliance. It's an alliance of convenience. I mean, enemy of my enemy is my friend. The warlords are against the Taliban, so we gotta team up with them. Give them weapons, give them money. That's the side you're going to fight on. And really, nobody should be surprised because we're allies with Saudi Arabia. All the horrific things they do, they say all atheists are terrorists, behead people in the public square for sorcery and witchcraft and drug smuggling. You know, look at all, it's not about human rights, it's not about freedom, it's not about democracy, so what's it about? What's it about? Military-industrial complex. War is very, very profitable for the people who buy the government. That's one aspect of it. And then the other aspect of it is, like every empire ever, natural resources. More power, more control. I mean, Iraq, the oil wealth there. Afghanistan, tremendous mineral wealth there. The opium crop. There's no good reason to still be there. Wasting our money, wasting our lives, killing their civilians. Already been there 16 years. We have a rogue government. By the way, only 17% of the American people support the war in Afghanistan, which means it's more unpopular than Vietnam. And that poll was taken in 2013. Imagine what it's like today as the war drags on and on and on and on and on. End the war, end it right now.